Welcome back, students, to the next session of Chief Seattle's speech. In the last session, we read the first two paragraphs in which a clear guideline or clear indication was shown by Chief Seattle and his words that nature has a sympathetic attitude towards the life of Chief Seattle's tribe. They have grown or they have lived in nature, they have taken breath in that nature, and they appreciate the creation of God. It speaks about how these people who have their rights over their land, they don't need land anymore, but what they need is respect. Let's begin with the third paragraph. Youth is impulsive. When our young men grow angry at some real or imaginary wrong and disfigure their faces with black paint, it denotes that their hearts are black and that they are often cruel and relentless, and our old men and old women are unable to restrain them. Now, in this line, he speaks about how youth of today, how the youth of this generation, they have lost their patience. They have lost the maturity to think. And they say because of their impulsive nature, because of their intolerance and not understanding nature, they become impulsive. And these young men, they often indulge in revengeful acts. That is, they retaliate at anything which they do not like, considering them to be gainful, and they think that when they retaliate, when they revert back, this attitude helps them to complete their revenge, and that would satisfy them and make them happy. Thus it has ever been. Thus it was when white man began to push our forefathers ever westward. But let us hope that the hostilities between us may never return. We would have everything to lose and nothing to gain. Revenge by young men is considered gain, even at the cost of their own lives. But old men who stay at home in times of war and mothers who have son to lose know better. Now he speaks that in case the worst thing happens and if things don't materialize between them, if this particular treaty is not signed, what would happen? The youth may retaliate, they may look for more development, or they would not like to stay in this old bound ways of life. And while they are thinking about it, they might go into an act which is very violent, which is aggressive, and they don't understand that this aggressiveness, this violence will help them with nothing except harming them. Then he speaks about that they might have retaliated even when their forefathers were pushed towards westward by the white men, that is, by the white colored, skin colored people out in America. But then he says, let us hope, that is, let's be hopeful, let's be optimistic, and that these enmities, the hostilities which is there between these two communities, they should not return. Now, at this moment, in the present moment, when he is addressing this, he is speaking about the compatible relationship which is there between the two communities, and he just hopes that this never comes back. That is, the old time when they were enmity should not return back. We would have everything to lose. Then he says that we would have everything to lose. That is, or maybe we would even lose land, our people, our integrity. Revenge by young men is considered gain. Revenge by young people, the impulsive youth, when they retaliate, when they take revenge, it is considered as a kind of gain, even at the cost of their own life. They do not think about anything else. They feel that even if they lose their life, it's a gain, but they don't understand about the time, about the people, those who are back home, those who have supported them, and they are emotionally attached to them, their parents, the old people, the mothers who lose their son in this kind of situation. Our good father in Washington, for I presume he is now our father as well as yours. Now he says the good father in Washington, for now he presumes that he is going to be a good father to these people, the tribes which exist in America. They would be experiencing a fair decision by them, since King George has moved his boundaries further north. That is, we all know that American continent was at one point of time was being ruled by Britishers, and how King George, who has moved towards north, that is, who has given freedom to these people out there, and has no intervention in between. They have moved towards the other areas, and their boundaries are not in that area. I say, send us words that if we do as he desires, he will protect us. And he says that he sends us words, he sends us message that if we do what he desires, he will always have a sympathetic and a protective hand on us. His brave warriors will be to us a bristling wall. That is, they will be wall who are of vigor and strength. They would be taking all the obstacles of life before it comes and hurts these tribal people. And his wonderful ships of war will fill our harbors. That is, it calls for development, so that our ancient enemy far to the northward, that is the ancient enemies, the Heddas and the Semans, that these are the Heddas are the indigenous people of America, and Semans are the North American Indians of northwest coast, will cease to frighten our women, will never enter our territory and frighten our women and children and old men. Then in reality he will be our father and we his children. But can that ever be? Now he says that when they keep their when these people will keep their protecting hand on us, and they'll protect us from these other tribes who are living in America, and they frighten us and our people and our society and community. It is at that time that I believe in reality that he's going to be our father, he's going to be a caretaker for his children. And then he interrogates, he puts a question. But can this ever be? That is, can this ever happen? Your God is not our God. Your God loves your people and hates mine. Now he comes to the next point where he says that the gods of white and the gods of the natives, they are different. So your God is your God, and your God doesn't love my people if he hates my people. He folds his strong protective arms lovingly about the paleface and leads him by his hand as children leads an infant son. As father leads an infant son. So he says he folds his strong and protective arm around his children, and those who are dull-faced, and he leads him by the hand as a father leads an infant son. But he has forsaken his red children, but he has thrown away, or he has not given a protection to his red children, that is the natives. They are avoided by him. Your God makes, if they really are his, our God, the Great Spirit, seems also to have forsaken us. Now he says that even it seems that our God has forsaken us. Your God makes your people wax stronger every day. He speaks then that your God, who looks after you, he has made you stronger every day by keeping you connected with the wax, just as the candle wax can join two sets of things. The melting of the wax joins one area to another. Similarly, your God has helped to join help to join all people together. Soon they will fill all land. That is, soon they will cover and come to this land. Our people are ebbing away like rapid receding tide. He says that our people are moving away like a rapid receding, retreating tribe and will never return. That is, those who are gone, they will never return. The white man's God cannot love our people or he would protect them. They seem to be orphans who can look nowhere for help. How can we be brothers? How can your God become our God and renew our prosperity and awaken in us dreams of returning greatness? Now he says that native gods, he speaks about how the native gods is different for the colonizers. And the god of white, he just protects the pale face. And then he goes on, the god of natives, the Great Spirit, has forsaken these tribal people. Now they are two distinct races having separate origin and separate destinies. There is great difference between them. And he questions that thus this renewal of our prosperity will awaken in us dreams of returning greatness. Today we end it here. We'll continue with the next session in the next class. Thank you. Stay safe. Stay home.